Please, he begged. I lost everything after you left. I was wrong. I know that now. Can you help me? I looked at the man who called me crazy for years. I just smiled. Busy, I said, getting into my car. The shock on his face was worth every single tear. Hey Reddit. So, my 21F boyfriend 23M just broke up with me. And to be honest, I'm a wreck. He said it was because I never trusted him and was always testing him. I get it. I know my behavior towards the end was toxic and I hate how I acted, but I feel like I was being driven crazy. And I need some outside perspective on whether I was just paranoid or if these things were as suspicious as they felt at the time. For context, we were long distance. He's a truck driver, so he was always on the road, living out of his rig in another city. Had usually managed to come see me about once a month. In the beginning, it was amazing. He was so affectionate. Would get these long, good morning texts, calls on his breaks, and had make me feel like I was the only person on his mind. But a few months ago, something just twitched. It was like a light went off. The affection vanished. He became distant, almost cold. The I miss you stopped completely. The goodnight calls devolved into a single GN text, and that was only if I was lucky. Sometimes, he was just plain mean. I'd ask him how his day was, and he'd sigh and snap. Fine, it's driving. What do you think? It felt like talking to me was a chore. Then he started going dark for days at a time. I'd send a hope you're having a good day text in the morning and get nothing back. The next day, nothing. By day 3, it'd be sick with worry, and then a text would pop up. Sorry, been crazy busy. That became his answer for everything. Why didn't you answer? Busy. Can we talk tonight? Don't think so. Gonna be a long day. The real eye-opener came when I finally got to go on the road with him for a few days. I was so excited, thinking this was our chance to reconnect. But what I saw just broke me. His phone was in his hand, propped on the steering wheel. Almost the entire time he was driving, he was constantly texting someone, scrolling through social media, laughing at videos. The phone was never, ever dead. My brain tried to process this. This was the same man who told me, sorry babe, can't text and drive, when I'd ask why it took him 8 hours to reply to a simple question. Yet here he was, having full-blown conversations with someone else while barreling down the highway. It wasn't just that he was busy, it was that he was busy for me. I sat there in the passenger seat, feeling completely invisible. What was I supposed to do? My first instinct was to just scream, who the hell are you talking to? But I knew exactly what would happen. He'd turn it on me, call me controlling and crazy for looking at his phone, and the whole trip would be a nightmare. But staying silent felt like I was swallowing poison. That feeling in my stomach, that gut-wrenching certainty that I was being lied to, was deafening. So I just sat there, and I think that's where the testing he accused me of really began. This was the first time I felt like something was deeply wrong. Am I overreacting here? Is a partner suddenly becoming too busy for you but not for their phone a normal rough patch in a long-distance relationship? Or was my gut right to be screaming at me from the start? That trip on the road was just the beginning. Once I was back home and he was on his own again, the weird behavior started piling up so high I felt like I was suffocating. His phone, for instance, became like a locked vault. He'd be texting while I was across the room, but the second I'd walked towards him, he'd quickly click the side button, the screen would go black, and he'd place it face down on the couch. I never once asked to look through his phone. I wouldn't even ask to use it to look something up, but he once told me, totally unprompted, I'm just so protective of my phone because I'm scared you'll go through it. At the time, I thought it was a weird thing to say. Now, my brain just processes it as, what exactly was he so afraid I would find? It wasn't just his phone, either. It was his whole life. He never wanted me around his family or friends. If he told me he was going to his parents' house for dinner, I knew that was a communication black hole. I wouldn't even bother trying to call or text, because my messages would go undelivered for hours. He would only resurface once he was alone again. It made me feel like I didn't fit into his life. I was just this separate, secret compartment he opened when it was convenient. The visits got stranger, too. One time, he was supposed to be in my city for the day. I called him that morning to make plans, and he said he'd let me know. Hours passed. I texted him that evening. Just a simple hey, hope everything's okay. Let me know when I should be ready. Nothing. By midnight, I had given up and was getting ready for bed, hurt and angry. Then, at 1 a.m., my phone rings. It's him. Hey, I'm pulling up. He showed up at my door looking exhausted. As he was getting his bag, I saw him open his trunk, and he pulled out a bouquet of flowers. My stomach just dropped. I know it seems small, but my immediate thought wasn't, ah, how sweet. It was, who was in your passenger seat all day, that you had to hide these in the trunk? The gesture felt less like a romantic surprise and more like a repurposed guilt offering. He was even erasing me online, had posted a cool picture from a trip we took together, but he would have cropped me out. You could still see the edge of my arm or my hair in the frame, a ghost of my presence. But the weirdest thing, the one that I still can't wrap my head around, was what he'd do in his truck. Sometimes would have sex in the cab. The moment we were done, he would become obsessively clean. He'd grab a flashlight, get on his hands and knees, and scan every single corner of the cab floor. I watched him once spend 5 minutes picking up tiny, almost invisible shreds of the condom wrapper. He was so focused, so adamant. It wasn't just tidiness. The chilling realization hit me as I watched him. He was meticulously erasing any and all physical evidence that I had been there. Individually, maybe I could explain these things away. He's private, he's forgetful, he's a neat freak, but when you stack them all on top of each other, it feels like an undeniable pattern. In between all this, though, he'd have these moments of intense affection that would make me feel like the old him was still in there, and I'd convince myself I was just being an insecure, crazy girlfriend. So, Reddit, what do you think? Am I just connecting unrelated dots? Or is this mountain of circumstantial evidence pointing to something real? The feeling that I was just being paranoid started to fade when I found something real. On one of his last visits, he asked me to grab something from his truck. As I was leaning over the passenger seat, I saw it stuck to the floor mat. A full, black false eyelash strip, the dramatic kind with a thick band. My heart stopped. I don't wear strip lashes. I never have. My mind started racing. This wasn't mine. So, whose was it? It was a small, flimsy thing, but it felt like a concrete block in my stomach. It was the first piece of physical evidence that proved someone else, a woman, had been in his truck. I didn't confront him about it. I was a coward. I just held on to that piece of information, and it festered. The night we broke up was the night it all exploded. I was just scrolling through Instagram before bed, and he posted a story. It was a picture of him at a club, holding a drink. Standing next to him was a girl, and they were leaning in so close their heads were almost touching, like they were sharing an intimate secret. My first thought was to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was just loud in there. But then I looked at the background. The club wasn't crowded at all. There were empty tables, wide open spaces. There was absolutely no reason for them to be standing in each other's personal space like that. Something inside me just snapped. All the late night visits, the phone hiding, the cropped photos, the meticulous cleanup, the goddamn eyelash shit all came crashing down on me in that one moment. I saw that picture and my brain just screamed, there it is. There's the proof. I called him immediately. I didn't even say hello. The second he answered, I was screaming. I cussed him out. I called him every name in the book. Looking back on it, I know I said some truly evil, unforgivable things. I was out of control, and I feel sick with guilt about the things I said and the way I said them. He was quiet while I raged. When I finally ran out of breath, he just said, I'm done. There was no emotion in his voice. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't just trust me. You're always looking for something, always testing me. I can't live like this. He told me I was suffocating him with my paranoia and that he couldn't do it anymore. And just like that, it was over. He flipped the entire thing, making my reaction the problem, not his actions. In his story, he wasn't the liar. I was just the crazy girlfriend who drove him away. So now I'm here, trying to make sense of the wreckage. I know my behavior was horrendous. I pushed him away with accusations and rage, but I feel like I was reacting to 1,000 tiny cuts. It hurts to think he was falling for someone else while still telling me he loved me. I guess I just need to know, was I really this clingy, untrusting person who ruined a good relationship, or was my intuition right all along, even if my methods were completely wrong?